Malcom Brogdon's happier in Portland than he was in Boston? And should the Celtics consider moving up Tony Snell after his plea of getting back into the league? Now, I'm Agyekum-Harris, and you're watching a new edition of Celtics Digest, and we got some very interesting articles that have been circling around the NBA circles. But before we get into that, we've noticed that only 78% of our viewers that watch our videos are not subscribed. So if you have not already, please subscribe, like, follow the channel. It helps creators like myself, Bruce, Josh, and everybody part of the Celtics Digest family give you more Celtics-related content. Now, getting straight into it, one of the bigger stories that I've seen, with the exception of Tony Snell, which we'll get into a little bit, is this. Malcom Brogdon says he's a little happier in Portland after not being valued in Boston. And to be honest, I don't blame him. It's kind of interesting that he says that. I think value is the wrong term to describe his time at Boston, because he was needed. It's just that I don't think he was used correctly. And just when it came to the nitty gritty of the playoffs and throughout his year there, it just felt like, he wasn't the right fit, the right defensive fit in the backcourt. And plus dealing with Marcus Smart, whether he was a point guard or a two, and then also dealing with Jayson Tatum bringing up the ball as well as Jaylen Brown. So wasn't a clear communication of what was going on in that backcourt. Now, this quote actually kind of describes how he's feeling. He's happier in Portland after not being valued in Boston. He said, I was excited to be there. I was excited to be with the championship coach. And then I was excited to go from a place where I wasn't as valued to go to a place where I'm very valued. He's being used a lot in Portland. Don't get me wrong, especially with missing Damian and Lillard. And now he's being looked at as the veteran presence for Scoot Henderson and anfernee Sims. So I can see that he's actually being valued in Portland a little more than he was in Boston. But I think, once again, I got to reiterate this. Value, I feel like, is the wrong term to describe what Malcom Brogdon was feeling. I think, it was just, the circumstances. It just didn't work out. And it's especially sad because Boston went out their way to acquire him, because he was supposed to be someone that was supposed to booster the backcourt, kind of bring, kind of control the chaos of what it was, trying to figure out if Marcus Smart is the 2 or the PG, and to try to give off those playmaking / point guard abilities off of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, trying to alleviate that. Now, obviously, we figured out he wasn't the right piece in regards to that for the Celtics, and these stats kind of show why, but I don't really, like I said, it's more about the fit. So this is what his career stats was looking like in Boston during his time last year. He was averaging 14.9 points per game, played in 67 games. The stats look good. Now, in Portland so far this year, there's been a major improvement. He's scoring a little more. He's getting more rebounds. He's just playing a little more to what he's used. And I guess value is the right term there, where Portland needs him to do more because they have him as the most vet point guard presence with anfernee Sims and Scoot Henderson in that backcourt. So he's being used a little more in a lot of those different statistics, as you guys can see here. The big jump I've seen is just the points, and also just the points. That's what I've just seen. And sorry for repeating myself right there, but you can see that his stats have jumped up just a little bit more. And I guess a little bit more means it's just a big enough oomph to get over the hump. And, being in the right situation and the right fit is always helpful to a player's confidence, and also helps boost up everybody that, goes around. So in regards to what Malcom Brogdon's saying, I agree with him to a degree, but I just wouldn't use the word value. I would say he found a better fit for the long term. Now, I wish it worked out with the Celtics, and I think most Celtics fans can agree here. He wasn't a bad pickup. He just maybe wasn't the right fit for what they wanted. Jrue Holiday's obviously a better fit, just defensively alone, along with Derrick White. So I maybe that's just me, and you guys can go fight over it in the comments. You guys can think about it, but I think Malcom Brogdon used the wrong terminology there, saying value. He just wasn't the right fit. Now, moving on to another big story that's been trending across the NBA Twitter and NBA world is going around is Tony Snell, one of our own G Leaguers, is seeking another NBA opportunity for a bigger purpose. Now, if you've been living under a rock, Tony Snell has been looking for a new opportunity by tomorrow Friday. Due to he loses his opportunity to get his health benefits for his family and for himself. Now, if you already don't know, if you have not already known, Tony Snell's the first openly diagnosed professional basketball player on the autistic spectrum, along with just himself. So, and he found this out that he was diagnosed from after watching his kids being diagnosed as well. One of his sons is diagnosed. So and I know a lot of people are saying like, oh, he's already made enough money in the NBA. Well, it's about the health benefits. And like me and like everybody else in the States and everybody else, we like having our health benefits. It helps out a lot. So now going into this, talking about this is one of his biggest missions. Tony Snell is his mission to return the NBA is bigger than basketball. And most people know this. It's common knowledge that everyone wants to be back in the NBA for their own different purposes, whether to make more money, to pay in front of their friends. But his is more of like, hey, I get my health benefits and that pension back after the 10-year mark I've been in the league. And Tony Snell has not been in Europe. He hasn't stepped away from the league. He stayed in the G League. He's bounced around. He's still young. He's in his early 30s, just a little bit past his prime, and he's being actually very productive for our G League team as a 3-and-D player and as a vet. So there is some value to him. Now the question is, and I know one of these articles, this is one of the quotes, that of course he wants to come back and play because he has a bigger purpose now. Snell told Yahoo Sports, "It's not about me, it's about my boys." He's in his second straight season with Maine, the Boston affiliate club, still flashing his two-way strengths. He's a Thibodeau guy, in my opinion, and he plays each game hoping that he can generate not just the 10-day call-up, but some of these peers would crave. He's 32. He's trying to get back into that league and trying to just get that going. So the reason why, as you can see, that additional season, if he gets back into the league by Friday and signed for the rest of the season, whether with the Celtics or any other team, is because he's eligible for the union's premium medical plan beyond his single current qualification, which offers more benefits and more medical care for his family and for his two sons, Carter and Kenzo, who are both diagnosed on the autism spectrum disorder. Now, if that's a dad hustling, I got to give Tony Snell his credit for that strength, which also makes sense. So that comes to the question that I want you guys to all think about in the comments. And this is my opinion after watching Tony play in the G League this past year. Should Tony Snell be given an opportunity to come back to the league? And should the Celtics take that opportunity? The Celtics, they're playing well. They don't necessarily need him, and especially since you're trying to develop still further along the develop J.D. Davison and Jordan Walsh, they don't necessarily need him, but he'd be a good addition because he's an older vet. He's younger than Al Horford, and he can play multiple positions, get those hype rebounds, and defend against everybody. So, in my opinion, I think the Celtics should move him up. He'd be a great piece. He's not someone that you're looking for the average 20 points a game or give you a lot of points, but he's a high energy bench guy that can play that 3-and-D role very well. Shooting's a little not there, but it shows that he's a vet. He's not too old, and he's not too out of his prime yet. So maybe he should. Or I think maybe, like a lot of people think, someone else should pick him up. Or the Celtics to try to maneuver something to try to get him signed so he can get that benefits. I think Tony Snell is a career player and not a generational player, but a career player, journeyman who's deserved his shot to get that premium health benefits. So I only wish Tony Snell the best and every opportunity that comes through it. But that is it for me on Celtics Digest, talking about some quick couple stories here. And I want to know what you guys think. Think about if Tony Snell, should the Celtics consider moving up Tony Snell or trying to help him maneuver, get somewhere before that deadline? I'm Agyekum-Harris, and you're watching Celtics Digest.